So earlier in the show, I was talking about how Donald Trump might fire Robert Mueller or Rod Rosenstein or Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions, Attorney General, but he has recused himself from the Russian probe. Rosenstein's the Deputy Attorney General, and he's the one that appointed Robert Mueller in the first place. In order to fire Mueller and vaguely follow the law, you'd have to fire Rosenstein first. And now, as we're doing this show live, breaking news that Anna's got for you guys.
So multiple sources have spoken to CNN reporters in regard to conversations that Trump is currently having with his advisors. And Trump is considering firing Rod Rosenstein. And it turns out that some of his advisors are encouraging him to do so. Now, these advisors have also, or at least these sources who have leaked information about these discussions to CNN, are also saying that they have been in talks with Congress, congressional Republicans specifically, in order to prevent blindsiding them. So let me give you what CNN is currently reporting on this. Some of Trump's legal advisors are telling him they now have a stronger case against Rosenstein. They believe Rosenstein crossed the line in what he can and cannot pursue, and they consider him conflicted since he is a potential witness in the special counsel's investigation because he wrote the memo that justified firing FBI Director James Comey. Okay.
That's hilarious. Let me just go into that.
Please.
So Trump asked him to fire James Comey. He did. He wrote this, in my opinion, a nonsense memo. Why? Because he was loyal to Donald Trump. Rod Rosenstein is a Republican, handpicked by Donald Trump and put into the Deputy Attorney General position. He asked him to fire Comey. Rosenstein did so. Now, Trump turns around and goes, I can't believe you fired Comey.
I know, it's incredible.
Wait a minute, but you're on the record. Not only do we all know that you ordered him to write the memo, but you admitted on national television that you're the one who asked to fire Comey because of the Russia investigation. You said it to NBC News. We have the tape. So now for him to turn around and go, I can't believe the conflict of interest that Rod Rosenstein has. He's the one who fired James Comey. He's involved in this whole thing. And by the way, firing James Comey is something that helped you. So why would Rosenstein be against you? That makes no sense. But it doesn't have to, it's Donald Trump.
And also, for the billionth time, I feel as though this should be a cautionary tale to those who choose to remain loyal to Trump because he has no loyalty to you. Now let me continue because the details of the story are delicious. Now the legal advisors also believe they have successfully argued to the American public that the FBI is tainted and think they can make a case against Rosenstein. So these are the legal advisors who are encouraging Trump. They're like, if there's ever a time to do it, now is the time. Apparently one of the sources who spoke to CNN disagrees and thinks that it would be a completely disastrous idea. In fact, the feedback that they have already received from congressional Republicans has been negative feedback. They are urging Trump to avoid firing Rosenstein because even if he does successfully fire him with no ramifications, the outcome probably won't be what Trump wants anyway, because there will need to be an individual who takes Rosenstein's place, and that individual is likely to do what Rosenstein has been doing. They're not going to fire Mueller. They're not going to completely dismantle Mueller's investigation. Trump doesn't really know what he's doing here, which isn't surprising. Now, one way Trump is being told he could fire Rosenstein is by blaming his dismissal on the ongoing disagreement between the Justice Department and House Republicans over document production on an array of issues related to how the FBI obtained a surveillance warrant on former Trump campaign aide Carter Page.
So look, this is gonna be an absolute mess either way, and I'll tell you why. So if he does not fire Rosenstein, they're going to continue the investigation, and the investigation is going to find out what Donald Trump is panicked about. So if you were doing a random investigation of me on something that I didn't do at all, I'd be like, that's preposterous, and I would fight back. I would fight back vigorously, but I wouldn't flip out and start running around the White House going, who do I fire? Who do I fire? Especially because firing them makes you look like you did it, and opens you up to impeachment and severe consequences. You'd only consider going to those severe consequences if the alternative is worse. So I think he did it. I think not firing Rosenstein is not gonna help him because they're eventually gonna find out the truth of what he did. On the other hand, if he does fire him, it's a political firestorm. Maybe the Republicans just weather the storm. But right now, we've got Republican pollsters screaming from the rooftops, including on Fox News going, the Republicans are going to get washed out in these congressional elections. It's going to be a tsunami.
Excellent.
So, but that might motivate the Republicans to cover their own ass and say, maybe you shouldn't fire Rosenstein. Am I with Trump? Did I say I was with Trump?
Well, that is, as far as the reporting goes, that seems to be the strategy that congressional Republicans are taking at the moment. They are urging Trump and his advisors to avoid firing Rosenstein, but more importantly, it appears that their feedback is more aggressive in regard to Jeff Sessions. They do not want Trump to touch Jeff Sessions because they're also concerned about confirmation hearings to find a replacement for Sessions. And also remember, Jeff Sessions, establishment Republican, has very good relationships with congressional Republicans. And so I'm sure that there's an element of wanting to protect him in that regard as well.
Yeah, he was one of their colleagues in the Senate, obviously, for a senator from Alabama. All right, last couple of things here. CNN is reporting that he wants to fire Rosenstein because he has not done enough to protect him. If you had any sense at all, you would stop saying that, because it is not the job of the Deputy Attorney General to protect the president. It is his job to protect the Constitution and the rule of law in America. Anyone in government should know that, let alone the president. And if you're trying to fire him under other pretenses, you should stop saying you're firing him because he won't protect you personally. That is monumentally stupid. Okay, number two, in a show of unity back in February, Sessions, Rosenstein, and the person underneath Rosenstein that would take over if Rosenstein is fired, all went to dinner together, basically indicating we're all in this together. So unless you could find a lackey to, and which is possible, maybe you bring in Scott Pruitt or someone else to do your bidding and then put him in Rosenstein's place, etc. This is all going to take time, right? In the immediate future, no, the person underneath Rosenstein agrees with him. So you haven't really solved your problem. And the last thing is, back in December, and this was reported by the New York Times, Donald Trump already tried to fire Mueller. He already gave the order, like we're pretending he didn't, he did, we know it. And the person who stopped him was Donald McGahn, the White House counsel. He said, I will resign immediately. He's another guy who was very loyal to Trump, but he's like, Mr. President, if you do that, it looks like we're obviously guilty and I can't be part of that, so I would resign. So if he fires Rosenstein, will other lawyers on his own team or at the White House also resign? We don't know. So that's what we're about to find out if Trump does this. And I say if lightly, because Trump is a lit fuse. And when he wants to fire someone and he gets on a warpath, it is pretty much impossible to stop him.
And it seems as though there are no mitigating factors in the White House right now. I mean, he has his legal advisors encouraging him to fire Rosenstein.
Some of them.
Some of them at least. And you also have the lack of a soothing figure like a Hope Hicks in the White House, calming him down and preventing him from going on these unhinged rants on Twitter. So who knows what's going to happen, but it's fun to watch.
I'll tell you this much, I guarantee you this. Either way, this thing devolves incredibly quickly, shockingly quickly. If you want to get the whole Young Turks show every single day, become a member, tytnetwork.com/join. And once you do, you'll be saying,
I'm like a smart person.
Or you might say,
I think it's weird.
Or you might say,
oops.
No, that won't be that one. It won't be that one. It'll be great, trust me. tytnetwork.com/join.